See anything new? Yay! The guys at AQQA reached out to me and asked if I would like to check out one of their 24/7 planted aquarium lights. So, with the usual agreement in place that I could be honest in the review and not work to a script or anything like that, they sent me out their 42-watt version. There are smaller options, of course, for smaller aquariums, but this is the one that I asked for to go into a particular tank. And the first thing I noticed is the packaging, by the way. It's not crowded, it's not busy. Gives you the details you need, but that lovely shade of blue, does that not make you think of water right away in aquariums? Quite nice. So let's unpack it anyway. We'll show you what we've got, and then I will tell you what I think. And spoiler, I really like it. Got a standard kind of brackets that we're used to seeing these days. Nothing glamorous, but they do the job. And then our light is nicely packaged to keep it safe, as you can see. We've got our controller, 4 buttons on it. It's not complicated. It doesn't leave you scratching your head trying to figure out how to use it. The first button is your 24-hour cycle, so it's going to go through like the stages of the sun rising and setting at night, which is probably the setting I'm going to use. In fact, it's the setting I use on that Hydro light on the tanks behind me, behind the light there, and it works really well. It's really cool. The second light is to cycle through your colours, and there's loads. We'll have a look at that in a bit. Third button down is the intensity, which you can alter in 10% increments all the way from 10 to 100, so 10 steps. And then at the bottom, if you want it, you can set your light to 6, 10 or 12 hour function. Quick flyby of it then, and there are 210 LEDs and RGBs on the 42-watt version. Plenty. That reduces as you move down the model, so the 36-watt gives you 180 pieces, the 30-watt gives you 150, all the way down to the 12-watt light, that is 60 pieces in total. They are all protected by a silicone or resin covering. That's what makes it a IP68 rating, which means it's fully waterproof. If you dropped it into your fish tank, you're not going to get any water ingress. It's not going to blow your light, and you're not going to electrocute yourself or your fish. You can feel it, in fact. It is kind of firm, but somehow spongy as well. You can push your finger into it, which gives you a right amount of confidence that it's protecting your light. Obviously, it stretches from edge to edge. It's quite satisfying, actually. It does tend to attract the dust a little bit when you first take it out of the box, but I think that's something that will kind of disappear over time once it gets the air to it. I think that's not going to be an issue anymore. One of the first things I noticed is it's really thin. The aluminium casing is barely a centimetre thick when you put the tape measure up against it, which means the profile is really, really narrow, and it's going to disappear from the eye line when you got it over the tank. However, since it is made of aluminium, it's got some nice weight to it. It feels decent. It feels like a product that you can have faith in. And then it's got these heat sinks at the top to dissipate any heat that might be produced. And it looks really nice. It actually looks like something you'll enjoy looking at it if you notice it. I have had aquarium lights that are quite distracting, actually. When you notice them above the tank, you just think, oh, it's not too cool. But with this, you're not going to have that problem. What, we 9 centimetres wide was that? A nice width to nicely space out those LEDs and RGBs to give a nice spread across the aquarium, but again, not look too bulky and out of place. I think the design form is really nice, actually. Right, let's have a quick play with the buttons then. Let's get it onto the full brightness and all the lights. Whoa, that is bright. That's really bright. Wow. wasn't expecting that, if I'm honest with you. Quick play with the colour options. I don't generally use these, if I'm honest with you, but we'll have a look what it looks like on a tank in a sec. And then, I don't know if the camera's picking this up right, but this is stepping through the intensity levels, those 10% increments that I mentioned, and it does make quite a difference. But what I think we'll do, let's lower it down onto a tank and have a look at what it makes the aquariums look like. Yeah, that's really nice, by the way. The colour is just crisp. Really, really impressed with this, actually. Let's have a quick look at the colours on the tanks. Never going to use that. Never going to use that. Maybe at night. Oh, that's nice. That's really nice, by the way. That's something I could sit and enjoy for a while, I think. And that. It's quite funky, but maybe if you're having a party in the house. Yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I'm really impressed with the quality of the light that is thrown on these tanks. However, this light is not for my jungle and desert tanks here. This is where it's going to end up, on White Clouds Creek, which currently has a Higer over the top of it. So let's switch it out and see if there's any difference. Yeah, I would say so. Again, I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but at full intensity on both lights, the AQQA just looks so much cleaner. Definitely an improvement, definitely, without a doubt. It just kind of brings it to life a little bit more, and it just looks so much crisper. Is it temperature, they say? I'm not sure if I'm using the right word, but the temperature of the light just seems to be so much better. Not that it's a competition between the lights, that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to figure out, am I at least as satisfied with the new light as the one that I had before? And I definitely am. Let's have a wee play with the buttons again then. So this was the intensity setting, so you can step that down at 10% increments and then all the way up again. So if you don't want it at full tilt, you can reduce it down depending on what your mood is. We can play with the colours. And actually, having said that, I don't generally do that. Some of them are quite cool. That's nice. I do like that funky pink setting. Then also we've got the 24-hour mode. So during the course of a 24-hour day, you're going to get sunrise moving up through the morning until you get to the full sun of noon. And then it's going to start toning its way down all the way to your moonlight setting. And then it does actually have a period of darkness as well. I really like it. I'm going to use the 24-hour setting, I think. It's really nice coming down and looking at the tank at different parts of the day and feeling like your fish are going through an actual day cycle, a day's light cycle. Somehow quite reassuring. And you might be thinking, look, there's loads of dark patches there, DKF, and you would be entirely correct to say that, and I'll show you for why. So this aquarium, White Cloud Creek, has got a lot going on at the surface. Over to the back of the screen there, we've got those lily pad kind of leaves that are coming from the red tiger lotus, and then there's a whole load of jungle val growing across the surface. If we look from the other direction, there's loads of Amazon frogbit literally covering the top of the water there. So despite that, we're still getting a lot of nice light penetrating through the tank. So much so, I keep coming home having forgotten that I'd replaced the light and doing a double take when I come through the door like, oh, that fish tank's looking amazing. I can't really speak to the longevity of the product rather, sorry, having only run it for a couple of weeks. But in terms of the quality, I am super impressed. I'll tell you something I noticed, and I'm not sure it was intentional, but that button there, as you cycle through it, changes the position of the light. You notice that? Why am I even talking about that? Well, how many times at night have you been rooting behind a dark tank, trying to find your controller, and you just can't? Well, that shows you exactly where it is. It's not bright enough to catch your eye all the time, but certainly if you're trying to find it, it gives you that helping hand. The light itself does not get hot, barely warm, in fact, but I have noticed a little bit of heat from the power pack. To be expected, maybe, for a light that is so powerful, but thought it was worth mentioning anyway. And that is the only negative I've found, if you even consider that negative. In terms of the light that it throws onto your aquarium, it's just really, really nice for an aquarium LED that is, what do they say now? It's not high end in terms of price bracket. It's more than reasonable, more than fair. And I think for the price, you're going to be really, really happy with what you get. There was a time you'd be paying through the nose for a light that makes your tank look as good as this, but now we've got a nice option with loads of customization. Are there better lights? Aye. Ones with bells and whistles, Bluetooth connectivity and all the rest of it, but how often do you really, really mess about with it? For a light that's got a nice 24-hour cycle option, or for you to customize it to how you want with 4 easy buttons that are super easy to navigate. I think it's terrific. I really do. I really do. Super grateful to AQQA for sending this out to me and giving me a shot to play with it. Give me a chance to play with it. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I would. I definitely would. It's staying on this tank anyway. I have been becoming more and more aware of the AQQA brand over recent times, but this is the first of their products that I have actually had a go of, and it has certainly given me the confidence to try more in the future. So, thanks again, AQQA. If you've got any questions, put them down below and I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, I'm out. Later, later, later.